There comes a moment in the journey when it all falls into place. Not because we planned it, but because love had an ulterior motive all along we were being prepared to see. This is that moment for me. I'm Giselle Gamby, coach, mentor, and podcaster, and this is the Intuitive Pull Podcast Season 6. This season is for the ambassadors, the evolutionary leaders, the ones who dare to go first, the ones whose mission it is to lead from the consciousness of love and break the sound barrier of what is possible. This is for those who know they are part of something greater, and for those who never thought they were. My intention is that Season 6 will change your life, that it will activate your mission and liberate you to lead from the abundance of your wisdom and be in your full-bodied self-expression no matter what, because love is the ultimate mastermind. Hello and welcome back to the Intuitive Pull podcast. It's good to have you here. Before sharing my next episode, I just wanted to let you know that this is my second interview with Janine Gearon. I interviewed Janine a week ago to do with the subject matter of voluntary assisted dying. So I just needed to share that with you before we get into this episode to give you the option. If you feel that this podcast episode is not for you, you have the option of leaving now. And equally, if you feel that this podcast episode is something that you want to give yourself, particularly because it might be something that impacts you or impacts the people around you, well, Janine and I welcome you with open arms. Thank you. Welcome back to the Intuitive Pull. I have Janine Gearon with me again. Just a week ago on Monday, we spoke and we had a podcast interview, and we're just a week down from that. And we are here together again to share what has happened in the last week. Just to reminding the listeners and the viewers, the reason why we are doing this is because Janine wants to make her contribution in that voluntary assisted dying is not something that's widely spoken about just yet. And we just spoke before and we understand why. It's new in Australia. There is stigma around it. There is still fear around it. And so it has its own growth, or it's in its own growth cycle, we could say. And Janine is here to share the message that it exists, because doctors aren't able to share that or give patients that option. And actually, I won't put any more words in. I'm going to ask you, Janine, just to remind us, actually, just to remind us, why did you feel pulled to be interviewed on this podcast?
So, like you were saying, VAD is really new in Australia. There was a lot of information. I know Andrew Denton was a huge advocate for it, trying to get it through Parliament. And I think we've only had it in Queensland since 2023. So it's not long been passed. There's no fanfare when something like that gets passed. So you might be aware that it was something that was being deliberated, but not necessarily something that had been approved and was now available for those that qualify. Yeah. It's important to me to get the word out there because I am in the late stages of cancer, and I wanted better options than living out my days in palliative care, making things difficult for my family and friends, having to watch me in pain and all of those things. So when I did find out about VAD, it seemed like such a great idea, and I couldn't understand why the doctors hadn't included it. We get this booklet that sort of states all the things that are available, things like chemo or immunotherapy, radiology. There's a whole list, but no one then mentions, well, if these things don't work, there's this option that we can, in a way, put you out of your misery, like we would for an animal that we loved or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's important to me just to get the word out.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity. Yeah. So things have moved since we spoke, I should say, just a week ago. Can you give us an update?
Yeah, it's only been a week, but I've spent a fair bit of that in hospital, had a permanent drain put into my stomach, and expected to be in hospital overnight, maybe 2 nights. Ended up being in there, I think, for 6 nights. So once again, that sense of power being taken away. I'm in a fair bit more pain now than I was, so things have shifted for me, in that I've sort of been cruising along. If I don't feel good, I'll take a tablet, I'll feel okay. Whereas now I'm sort of taking double the amount of painkillers and still not quite getting on top of it. So hoping it's largely inflammation to do with the surgery, but a bit fearful that it's not. Fearful that maybe now, with all of that liquid that they've drained, maybe now I'm just getting a better understanding of what that's been cushioning in a way. So yeah, feeling a little bit more vulnerable now, physically feeling a bit more vulnerable. And it's only been a week.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So we had a conversation before around your identity and how your identity is shifting here. Is there anything that you want to say about that, just to help people connect in with you?
I guess I've been forced to shift my identity. I have lived most of my life. I think I started teaching dance at 17 and never really stopped. Always did things that were physical. Taught rollerblading, taught pole dancing, taught regular dance, did all of those things for many, many years, and then went on to teach Pilates and yoga. So still really identifying with the physical self, really able to rely on my physical self, like having that relationship, I guess I took for granted in a lot of ways. And all of a sudden, that's not so available. I found post-surgery, I couldn't even sit up on my own. And I know that's directly after the procedure, and that's probably to be expected. But even now, having to find ways of moving around the pain rather than sort of just to go through it. And when you've had something like movement as part of your identity for so long, so movement, relationship with your body, that deep connection with your body, and to have that challenged or unavailable means that you have to shift your identity. And what I've realised is that at the end of the day, I'm still here. The essence of who I am isn't in the movement, it's in the heart. So I am still here. And I guess what takes its place then is focusing on what's important to me and now at this point in time. And that's those relationships that are special. It's the friendships, the relationships, the love. It's it's the people. And so focusing more on how I am in the world rather than how I move through the world, I
Yes,
guess.
beautiful. Yeah. It's your heart that's moving through the world now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So we talked a little while ago, and I was reflecting back to Janine that, as you said before, what really matters now are the relationships in your life and letting them know how important they are to you and how they've contributed to your life and how much gratitude you have for them. And I said, that's what we call liberation, in terms of expression. You know, we, I don't know what it is about human beings, but we have resistance around allowing ourselves to be that vulnerable or even to even feel that vulnerability of how much we love someone and how much gratitude we have for them
yeah,
and actually communicating that to them. And that's how your heart is moving now, which is just
yeah. I think
so
it's
beautiful.
largely fear, isn't it? Fear is the reason that we don't. I mean, we feel really comfortable telling our children or our pets or whatever how
Yes.
special they are, how much we love them,
Yes.
how the sun rises and sets, all that sort of thing. But we're more threatened by those being vulnerable with those other people,
Yes.
even if it's a partner, even if it's a family member,
Yes.
your best friend, we still hold a little bit of that back.
Yeah.
There's no time for that now. I really want the people that I love, to know how much I adore them, how fabulous they are, what difference they've made for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is a liberation in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I've shared
Yeah,
with
not
you,
letting that fear hold you back.
yes, exactly. Exactly. And this is what I've shared back to you when we've spoken about this. Um, whilst the body's failing, whilst there's a diagnosis, um, whilst there's pain and even more pain now than there was before, all the way through, since I have known you, all the way through, you have still chosen to show up not as a victim. And I know in your humanity, I'm not saying that there aren't thoughts of how sorrowful you are at this time of your life to be facing what you are facing. But there's always been this thread of, well, I still get to choose how I show up. I still have that power that I get to choose how I show up. And I just really want to honor that um, and reflect that back to you because there is so much generosity in that. At a time when people could be the last thing they're thinking about are other people.
It's
So,
all there is to think about.
oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's
It's
oh,
just true. It's just true.
that's the point, right?
It's the point.
That's the point. But the thing
Why
is,
we're
not many
here.
people get it, but you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. And now there are ripples from that.
I don't think anyone knows how they'd respond until they're in it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know you also wanted to talk about your interaction with the oncology nurse.
Yeah. So I had the nurses in oncology are amazing. They're all really, really warm, lovely people. And I was having a bit of a chat with one of my favorites uh, the other day, and she was saying that she, like I told her that I'd signed up for VAD and that I'd had my final appointment. And she was talking about how happy she was for me. And she said, I know that's an odd thing to say. She said, but having worked in oncology for years, the she said there's not an oncology nurse that she can imagine not wanting to sign up for VAD if they're in a similar position, or not making at least that option known to family or a friend or anyone that they found in that position. But again, even with the nurses, they're not allowed to tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
She was only able to talk to me about it because I brought it up with her.
Yeah.
And that's got to be frustrating for them. It's got to be really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought it was interesting. There's been I had a radiology nurse that had some lovely stories about um, a guy that they used to see for the ascites drain. And they used to see him every couple of weeks. He'd come in, he'd get his drain, and then he'd leave. And at the end of his session, he said, "Oh well, I won't see you next week because I've made my date for that." And she was saying how happy she was that he wouldn't have been in pain, how he seemed stronger and better for having had the power to make that decision on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important. Again, she wouldn't have been able to talk to me about it if
Yes.
I hadn't brought it up first.
Yes. And here you are bringing it up, and hopefully the right people are going to be hearing this,
Absolutely.
right?
And let's reiterate that even if you go through all the steps and you have it in place, you don't need to use it.
Yeah.
It's just an option.
Yeah. So from a practical point of view, what is the first step in for somebody who wants to explore this? What do they need to do?
They'd go to their GP first. Most GPs aren't going to be registered VAD people, but hopefully their GP will know someone to refer them to.
Yeah. Okay.
So then you make an appointment with that person, and that doctor will then run them through all the eligibility requirements. They'll talk to them about the practicalities of it, and they'd go from there.
Okay.
So that step one is that you reach out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And how many steps? It was a
Yeah.
big process, right? That you've been through.
Ah, so many. You
Yeah.
have to ask 4 times. Officially ask 4 times before it's accepted.
Right.
So you get accepted along the way, and there's different criteria for each of the steps, but you need to ask for access to that voluntary assisted dying
Okay.
4 times.
Okay.
So that's a minimum of 4 appointments,
Yeah.
because there's all sorts of forms that need to be done as well. So yeah, minimum of 4 appointments.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So you can't rush it.
No. And as you said, you can always not choose it, even if you've been through the whole process.
Yeah.
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 And you've been signed off. Last week you were signed off. You've been through all the process. And so where are you at now?
Mm-hmm. So now the pharmacy will send the drug to my doctor. It's a choice whether it comes to me or whether it goes to him. And I've chosen for him to look after it because he'll be administering it I figure he'll keep it safe. And then when I'm ready, I contact him and say, okay, I'm ready. Does this date work for you? And we, negotiate a time and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And today you're choosing what?
Today,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not, that's a big question, Giselle, when you don't have much time. What am I choosing today? Um, yeah, I guess it's just something now I know I have available to me. So now I just go and I live my life as well as I can.
Yes.
Yeah, until it becomes otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
At
you.
which point, yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to say today?
no, not
Okay.
today.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, that was all. Thanks for listening.
Oh, thank you for being here. So I was just going to end this with saying we're just going to see how we go. We may be on here again if you feel that you'd like to be. And if this is complete for now, I just want to thank you again for your generosity. Yeah. And love. Thank you.
Thank you.